When you're starting a nonprofit, should you have family members serve on your board of directors? Let's get into that in this video. Hey there, welcome or welcome back. My name is Amber Melanie Smith, and I am a nonprofit founder and executive director of the nonprofit that I started. I make these videos here on YouTube all about starting a nonprofit or social enterprise, helping each other, service, volunteering, etc., etc. I hope that you find this video helpful and useful wherever you are in your own social impact journey. If you are in the process of starting a nonprofit and need a little extra support, check out my website, foundertofulltime.com. I've got a couple of great online trainings for you over there. I hope that you find this video useful and helpful. Don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. All right, so I've heard from many people starting a nonprofit organization that they are recruiting family members to serve on their board of directors. The assumption is that having trusty mom or dad or sister on your board of directors is going to help you keep control of the organization and its vision and never allow strangers to guide the organization's vision astray. But is having family serve on a board of directors a good idea? As I get into this topic further, I do want to clarify that what I'm going to be talking about relates specifically to 501c3 public charity organizations in the United States. Because to have that 501c3 tax-exempt status in the United States, you have to be an organization that is considered publicly supported, which means the organization receives a substantial amount of its support from the public, so publicly supported organizations, governmental units, and/or the general public. And therefore, the IRS is also expecting that your nonprofit's board of directors is made up of members of the general public. All of that is to say, this topic is not really going to be applicable to family or private foundations who might be using their own resources or own funding to support the causes that they care about. Since they aren't getting in or asking for money from the general public, excuse me, they do not have to meet this criteria. So you could and most likely would have family members on a family or private foundation. Okay, so let's jump in. If you are doing the 501c3 route and you're thinking of or considering recruiting family members for your board, there are three main things you want to consider. And these three things are IRS rules and regulations, funder perception, and interpersonal relationships. Let's talk about that number one thing, IRS rules and regulations. The first thing to consider about whether to have family members serve on your board is how that's going to be viewed and potentially penalized by the IRS. So for the IRS, a family member or anyone really considered a related member, and we'll get into what that means here in a moment, is going to throw up a red flag if they see those folks on your board of directors. This could potentially prevent a new nonprofit from acquiring its tax-exempt status or could increase scrutiny of established nonprofits. The IRS defines related members as someone connected to other board members through blood, marriage, or business connections. Blood relations is usually parents, siblings, or grandparents. Marriage-based relationships are, of course, a spouse or in-laws. And even people with whom you have a business relationship could be considered a related member by the IRS, usually someone who is a coworker whom you serve on a business board with or with whom you also share a large share of the company. At a bare minimum, the IRS requires that at least 51% of the board be made up of unrelated members. The goal here of the IRS is, of course, to make sure that the general public and the community that a nonprofit serves has essentially a majority vote in how the organization is run, as opposed to one person and their related members. And even to have a board meeting in which votes might take place, you have to have a large number of unrelated members present. The main reason the IRS cares about this is because of conflict of interest. The IRS doesn't believe that people who are related to one another are going to be able to act independently and without bias towards one another. Board members are supposed to be acting with the organization's mission as its top priority, as opposed to the interests or priorities or preferences of individual board members. And so that's why they're concerned. Related to this is the IRS's rules around private benefit. Someone who is related to another board member wouldn't be able to participate in any votes that would bring one of those other board members some kind of personal benefit, such as voting to hire someone that you're related to as a paid staff member. That would be considered a conflict of interest. So let's say you're a nonprofit founder and your hope is to one day serve as a paid executive director or other type of staff member for the nonprofit. You would not be able to vote to hire yourself or vote on what you could pay yourself. Other board members would have to vote to hire you and what your salary would be. And no one who is a related board member to you would be allowed to participate in that vote due to these conflict of interest rules. The second thing you need to consider is funder red flags. Similar to the IRS, having family members on your board, especially if it's a significant number of them, could throw up a red flag for funders. And by that, I mean grant foundations, donors, or sponsors. It is a common question these days on grant applications to ask for a list of the nonprofit's board members. And what funders are looking for is to ensure that, of course, the organization is led by members of the general community, but also that there's a lot of diversity on the board and that there are a lot of perspectives of those in the community serving in the organization's interests. So having one or more family members on your board could signal to a funder that you don't necessarily have broader leadership, broader representation, or broader perspectives from the community that you're serving. Only your family or your personal connections are in the leadership. And another practical matter to consider in the fundraising realm is just social networks. You're going to be most successful in raising money if you have a lot of different people who each have their own social networks as part of the leadership of the organization, because then those people are going to be able to tap into their networks and cultivate and curate donor relationships and be able to make those asks for funding support in the future. The smaller your social network is, perhaps if you are serving alongside family members on a board, your whole family might know the same set of people. But if you have a lot of different people who are not connected, the odds are higher that they're going to have reach into various segments of the community. And the third and final thing to consider is interpersonal issues. While this one is not related to tax or financial rules or anything like that, I think it is important to consider how serving on a board together could impact your personal relationships. For example, how disagreements on a board of directors could spill over into family life. Now, don't get me wrong, people who are related or not related are always going to have disagreements on a board of directors. That's just life, and we're all human beings. But the difference is you don't have to necessarily go home to or see the people on your board day to day and thus exacerbate whatever disagreements were had. I know I've heard some horror stories about family disagreements or even friendships being damaged because of service on a board together. So it's just something to be thoughtful about and be prepared to navigate if you go in this direction. I'm really interested to hear if you've had experiences with either serving alongside family on a board or even have heard stories from other organizations where family members or related members serve together on a board. What was the experience like? What are some of your insights? Be sure to share those in the comments below. As I mentioned before, if you are looking at starting a nonprofit, I've got some great resources on my website, foundertofulltime.com. I hope that you check those out. I also have a newsletter for changemakers and nonprofit leaders around the world. Be sure to subscribe to that. The link is in the description below this video, and you can opt out anytime as well. Finally, I have a Facebook group, Change the World or Bust, where myself and 3,000 other folks around the world are chatting about how we're making a difference and supporting each other. So I hope that you can come on over and join us there. I hope that you found this video useful or interesting or helpful to you in some way. Please don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. I hope to see you next time. Once again, I'm Amber Melanie Smith.